Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Steve the Painter. Today I'm painting some bathrooms, doing some repairs. As you can see, I got anchor holes everywhere. A good trick to getting these out is put the screw back in, but not enough to open the anchor, and then you just yank it out. And one of the first things you want to do when fixing these anchor holes is you want to pull off all the loose edges so nothing's protruding out. That way you have a nice flat surface. And you can test if it's flat by scraping over it. Using one of these, the back side of one of these is a good shape to put a little indentation in there. And then you just scrape over everything, make sure everything's not protruding outward. A lot of times you can fix these without having to tear out a lot of that first layer of paper. Sometimes you do. And if the brown paper is exposed like that, then you got to prime it. Otherwise, you'll have some bubbling on your repair work. Scrape over it, make sure it's flush. As you can see, I got a nail pop here. So if you got a nail pop, you want to set a screw in the same beam and then reset the nail. And you can go ahead and use the scraper to make sure that the nail is sunken deep enough. But what you don't want to do is set the nail below the first layer of drywall paper. Otherwise, it can come back. And then you got to prime that paper. That's just some regular old bonding primer. As you can see, I got a drywall corner issue here where the settlement crushed the drywall and ruined the tape. So you got to pull out that old tape and replace it. But first you need to do a fill coat. Just fill it in with some quick set. And when you go over these anchor holes, it's good to really work it in every direction. It looks like I'm doing a lot of unnecessary passes, but they're actually necessary. You want to really make sure that you get it pushed against every direction. And then you can skim it kind of tight. It's going to shrink in anyway. If you're planning on doing another coat, you know, you're not in a rush, then put it in there kind of tight because you're coming back for another pass anyhow. And that's part of the beauty of quickset, is that you can do multiple passes in a day. So now I had to remove this mirror and I got to clean that up. There's a open crack there that has to be sealed off. You don't want to tape all the way to the edge. You want to leave a little bit of that exposed for the sealant to grab. And you want to use a lifetime warranty paintable sealant. This is the one I'm using. Works pretty well. And then before it dries, pull the tape. And then you just want to smooth it out with a wet finger. Gets it a little better. There's that damaged corner. Turned out pretty well. That was actually a pretty easy fix. So now we got the anchor holes sanded and primed. The primer's clear, so you can't see it. But the purpose of that is to get the nice uniform sheen over top of those repairs. If you don't prime it, then when you go to paint over it, even if you paint 2 or 3 coats, you might see that repair flash right through. And so now I'm just going around. I like to freehand things. It's just the way I like to do it. Everyone's got their method. Some people like to tape. I'll tape sometimes if I'm in the mood, but most of the time it's actually more fun to just freehand. I don't like to rely too much on technology to paint. I kind of like the artistic aspect of it. This paint that I'm using is Emerald from Sherwin-Williams. Very good paint. I use a lot. Emerald from Sherwin-Williams, and Regal and Aura from Benjamin Moore. All good paints. Duration from Sherwin-Williams. Does very well in bathrooms also. Has a moisture resistant additive in it. Emerald applies a little better than the Duration, I noticed. It might be a little more durable as well. Overall, I would probably take the Emerald over the Duration even in a bathroom, but that's just me. I actually never did film myself doing the ceiling in this bathroom, but I actually did the ceiling in Duration because the 3 bathrooms I did in this house, all 3 might have a moisture ventilation issue. So the ventilation issue causing the moisture issue. And so it's better to opt for the more moisture friendly paint like Duration if that's a possibility. Standard ceiling paints are very cheap and not very good. Even if I'm doing a regular ceiling, I prefer to use something just a little bit better, like super paint. And in a later video, maybe I'll show exactly why. There is actually a very important reason why you would want to opt for a better paint on a ceiling rather than your typical ceiling paint. And yeah, I'll show that in a later video. The first coat of this brushwork is kind of just to set a guide for the second coat, because that second coat is always a lot sharper than the first. Some painters don't even paint all the way to the edge on the first coat. I like to get in there a little bit on the first coat. I notice the lines end up a little bit better when I do that. You can probably tell I have this video slightly sped up. Normally I wouldn't make actions that quick with the brush, otherwise paint could go flinging off the brush. Yeah, I just have it slightly sped up just to cut the video time down a little. Now we're into the rolling. Got a little 3/8 roller here, microfiber. Does very well with emerald paint. Virtually no spray off the roller. And you can see how well this paint covers even over that red with just one coat. You will lose some of the coverage as the paint dries out. You pretty much always need 2 coats. 1 coat paint is more of a gimmick, in my opinion. It'll cover, but a lot of times it won't look as good as a 2 coat job. And that sheen, it's always good to build the sheen with 2 coats. If you're doing a sheen change, then I definitely would recommend staying away from those 1 coat paints. This paint's actually satin finish. Now I'm into the other bathroom, and this bathroom's much tighter. A little more tricky on some spots. You'll see there's not much room on either side of the sink. So I had to be very careful doing my freehanding in there. You can see how tight that is. I had to reach back in there and make it work. The best thing to do when you're waiting for a bathroom to dry is paint another bathroom. This blue is also a color upgrade in my opinion. I think it looks better than the blue that's on there now. Putting it on, it looks like gray, but it's actually just a little bit more of a muted blue. These ceiling corners were a little trickier than the other bathroom. They had some stuff going on with them. But you just got to work a little slower. And the good thing about painting the ceilings is that if you make any mistakes, you can just touch up. This ceiling also got done in the duration. I painted this one when I painted the other one. I always like to do as many ceilings as I can at once, because then you don't have to worry about those corner edges drying down. Once that first coat's dry, it's always good to give it a little quick sand. This bathroom was actually so small, I decided to paint the whole thing with the little mini roller that I used to get behind the toilet, that little thing. So there you go. And there's the final result. If you made it this far, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Let's get this channel going. Let me know what you guys want to see. Catch you on the next one.